Okay. Yeah, good evening. Late
Hold
afternoon.
on. We'll just standing by. Thank you.
Good job. That's sure. I tried to just put it on. I tried to be so careful. Yeah. First thing. It was overflowing and melting.
Okay. We're ready.
Okay, here we go. Let's call the meeting to order. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the regular Antelope Valley East Current Water Agency meeting to order. Can we get a pledge? Jay, can you do the pledge, please?
I will. Take my hat off. I'll do it. Raise the flag. Ready. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jay. Okay, roll call vote. Holly, please roll call.
Division 6, Audrey Miller.
Here.
Division 5, Robert Paris.
Here.
Division 3, Jay Tremblay.
Here.
Division 2, Keith Dias.
Here.
Division 1, Drew Mercy.
Here.
Division 7, Gary Van Dam.
Here.
Division 4, George Lane.
Here.
General Manager Knutson.
Here.
General Counsel Doug Eberts.
Here.
And Holly Hughes present.
Thank you, Holly. Voluntary public roll call. This time, any members from the public, could they introduce themselves?
Debbie Dino, Palmdale Water District.
Welcome, Debbie. Thank you.
John Ukestead.
Thank you, John.
Ron Chow, LA County Water Works.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, moving on. Public comments. Any items not on the agenda that anybody wants to comment on? Okay, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mr. President, or Mr. Vice President, excuse me. I'll move on 6A1, adoption of the agenda.
Got a motion by Audrey Miller,
I'll second it.
a second by
President.
Director Tremblay. Madam Secretary, roll call vote.
Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay.
Yeah.
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Drew Mercy.
Yes.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Consent calendar, going pretty good here. We have a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Mr. Vice President, I'll move approval.
By Director Mercy, second.
I'll second Mr.
By
Mercy's
Director Tremblay.
motion.
Any discussion from the board? Any public comment? Holly, please roll call vote.
Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay.
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Drew Mercy.
Yes.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Motion approved. Number 8, item, consideration of possible action. Finance Committee, Keith Dias, Chair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Finance Committee met last Thursday, and one of the many things we discussed was the Water Revenue Refunding Bond, Series 2026A, with Michael Engelbrecht, and I believe he will be with us tonight to make a presentation.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Director Dias. I am happy to be here this evening. 2 weeks ago, I was in front of the board via the same Zoom setup, and we were hoping, once we obtained the approval to go into the market from the board, we were hoping to get in as early as last week, but the original plan was to sell bonds this week. Well, thankfully, we were able to move quickly and get into the market, and we ended up selling the agency's bonds. We ended up pricing the agency's bonds last Thursday, the 7th. The reason that we accelerated into that day was that 3 weeks ago we were in front of the finance committee and we were hoping to achieve, net present value savings of about 11%, and total debt service savings of about 4.5 million with the sale. Subsequently, interest rates went up. Lots of volatility overseas. You turn on the news, that's really all you hear. Well, last Wednesday, we saw interest rates come down. The 30-year Treasury yield was finally below 5% again. And the 10-year Treasury was finally below, 4.4%. And so we called Matt and Teresa and Justin and said, hey, I think we're going to try to get this into the market. I think we can do it. If we get in early and get out, we can achieve what we're trying to do. So we went into the market Thursday morning, and interest rates were even lower than they were on Wednesday. And we're able to get in the market, lock in interest rates. Shortly thereafter, the news came out that Iran had fired on the U.S. ships, and the U.S. ships had fired back. And so, not surprisingly, interest rates went back up. So there was a very short window that we were able to take advantage of and lock in savings for the agency. And to show you those details, just 2 quick slides, if you'll allow me. Slide number 4. These are the results of the pricing. If you look at the very right-hand side at the very bottom, the interest rates are locked in, the debt service is locked in, the aggregate or total debt service savings, as we'd hoped to achieve. We locked in $4.535 million of savings for the agency and the ratepayers. And you can see that annual fiscal year savings of over $400,000 a year. And again, that's selling bonds just to lower the rates, not extending the maturity. And then we had talked about, having a floor of at least 9% NPV savings, or about 3.5 million in total savings. Well, it was a blessing. We were able to achieve the over 11% net present value savings. Again, as a benchmark, the Government Finance Association targets 3% as a benchmark to, for a green light to lock in interest rates. Well, the agency was able to achieve substantially more than that, and happy to report that we were able to lock in, $4.5 million of savings. So it was a real great opportunity. Now, today, as we sit here, the 30-year Treasury rate is back over 5%. The 10-year Treasury rate is back over 4.4, almost 4.5%. And so, it was a moment in time, and we were able to be nimble and access that. In fact, on the very next page, which is the last, you can see, if we can get there. There we go. So we went out, you can see in the middle, the order period. And what we do is we assign yields based on a spread to the municipal market data yield curve, which is, AAA rating, right? That's the best one can get. And in California, it trades really, really close. And so we went out at 8 basis points higher than the AAA rated scale. Now, again, the agency's rating is a AA. And we went out at where we thought we could get it done. In comparison, another California water agency had priced the day before. They were an A+ rating, but they had bond insurance, so they had a higher overall rating. So we went out where they ended, and you can see right there, you'll see the spread to MMD, but more importantly, the subscription. So we were selling a little over $30 million in bonds. We received 125 million of orders for the agency's bonds, and there were 16 investors that came in. And these investors included PIMCO, Vanguard, Goldman Sachs Asset Management. So these are the big municipal bond players that buy bonds from like Met Water and state of California. Well, they saw the agency, they saw the rating, they're familiar with the name. We did a lot of pre-marketing in a short amount of time, And we were able to achieve these. And why that matters to the agency is if you look to the very right-hand side, where you show the spread to MMD, we were able to lower those, which lowered the yields to a much more attractive, which was able to generate that $4.5 million debt service savings. So I think, congratulations to the agency. It was a blessing that the market worked out, but the hard work from the staff, the oversight and foresight of the board to move forward with this definitely paid off. And again, if we'd have waited until this week, these numbers would not have been as productive. So we are very happy. We think the agency, congratulations, should be very pleased with the outcome. And from a personal standpoint, it's a blessing and an honor to work for the agency, and we really appreciate the opportunity and very thankful that it worked out. Where we go from here, so this transaction is scheduled to close on June 1st, but because you signed a bond purchase agreement with Wells Fargo, if all these investors walk away, the results won't change. We'll own all the bonds if, something bad happens in the market. So happy to be of assistance and looking forward to a successful closing.
Yeah, Mike, I had a question. Once
Yes, sir.
they're being sold, how is it being done? By the telephone, the internet, or how do they know is there a set period of time? I mean, an hour, 2 hours a day? Yeah. I remember going to Sacramento years and years ago, and it was done by the telephone. I'm sure it's different than that now, but.
Yeah, so that's a really good question, Director Lane. So this is all done electronically now. And then, the staff was able to actually observe the order period. We went out for 2 hours. It was a little bit slow, a little bit nerve-wracking in the beginning. The first hour and a half was like watching paint dry. We had maybe 10 million in orders if we were lucky. But then that last half of the day, investors, started piling in. All those orders came in. We closed the order period, came back, got a verbal award from the agency, and then we started allocating out. We lowered the yields and then started allocating out the bonds. Now, when we went and lowered those yields, right, some of those investors were like, thanks, but no thanks, because we don't want the lower yield. But we ended up.
Did everybody play the same thing?
That's exactly. Everyone sees the same thing. That's exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, go ahead, Director Dias.
Thank you very much, Michael, for your help. Again, you helped us select the correct moment in time to maximize our savings.
Well, Director Dias, thank you. It was a blessing. I wish I could say that there was some kind of a master plan, but we saw the opportunity and were able to move quickly, and we're just very thankful that it worked out. But thank you.
Are there any more questions for Michael?
Yes, great job, guys. Great job to Teresa and Michael both. Thank you very much. And good questions, President Lane.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Michael. We'll move along to item 8A2, check register list for the period of April 16th, 2026 through April 29th, 2026. And I'll ask Matt to please lead this discussion.
All right. Thank you, Director Dias. So beginning on page 19 of your board packet is the check run for this period. Overall, pretty light as compared to normal check runs. Total payments is about a little over $1 million. So beginning on page 1, item number 1 is our monthly variable payment to Department of Water Resources, just under $700,000, and that was to move about 3,000 acre feet through the State Water Project to AVEK's facilities here in the Antelope Valley. Moving down on the first page, item 13 is a payment to the Antelope Valley Water Master to process a transfer application. This is where annually AVEK transfers 567 acre feet to the city of Palmdale under the Joshua Ranch agreement for that development. Item 17 is our membership payment to AV Edge. That was approved by the board in the amount of $5,000. On the next page, item 25 is a payment to Aero Engineering. This is associated with the 440 acres that the agency is set to close escrow on. That's out near the High Desert Water Bank, just east of the existing water bank. And that was to have Aero Engineering plot all the existing easements and roadways, future roadways within the project area or within the properties that we're acquiring. And everything else is pretty routine.
Matt,
on page,
I have one question.
yes,
On the city of Palmdale, where we transfer that water.
yes.
Would AVEK rather have the water or would rather transfer it? I mean, if we ever talk to Palmdale, if they would sell the water at a discount, maybe that doesn't make sense, but it's just a question.
Oh,
Do they have
if I
any
understand your question correctly, you asked them if they'd be willing to sell it back at a discount?
maybe we don't want it, but they have any use for the water?
Yeah, I haven't had those types of discussions with them. The arrangement we have with them is pretty good because we're able to transfer carryover water that the agency has from the adjudication. So we're not transferring surface water or state water project. It's carryover water.
Okay, well, that makes sense what we're doing. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
There was Pure Technologies, 46,000.
What number are you on, Jay?
20.
Item 20. Yeah, that is a progress payment of $46,350 to Pure Technologies. That's associated with the West, what we call the West Feeder condition assessment. So a few years back, we were having numerous leaks, major leaks on the West Feeder pipeline.
Thing went in through there.
Yeah.
I remember now.
They put that high-tech device in
They
the
had like a little machine that went through there and took pictures and checked everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's, I think it's the final payment, if not close to the final payment for that work.
Thank you.
Yep. Good question, though. And that's all we had. There are a couple items on page 22 and 23 associated with the High Desert Water Bank, and all of those costs are reimbursed by Metropolitan Water District.
That item number 36, is that, what is that?
Item 36, AV Action Air. That's for the Acton Water Treatment Plant. Most of it was there, right, John? Oh, okay. Yeah, John's saying kind of preventative maintenance and replacing all the filters at the various HVAC systems. So more routine maintenance.
You know, filters, we should be able to do that ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, if it's the same type, you know, you buy them at Lowe's or Home Depot and snap one out, snap one in, if that's what it is. Maybe those are different.
John, anything to elaborate on what they did or?
Any other questions for Matt? I've got one question, Matt. When were we due to close in on that piece of property out west?
Was it June 1st, right around? 4th, yeah. So it's coming up. We could actually probably close a little bit early if we wanted to.
Everything checked out on the feasibility study and drainage?
Yeah, we did the phase 1 environmental report that we went through with the committee and the board. We did the exception mapping of all the easements and everything else checked out. You know, we did kind of walk the property. There's no Joshua trees.
Great.
So we're in good shape.
Good job.
Yep.
Okay, do we need a motion on this?
Yes, I'll make a motion. We approve board order 8A2. This is Keith.
Got a motion by Director Dias and a second, please.
Drew make a second. Like he's ahead of me. I'll second, Mr. Vice President.
Second by Director Mercy. Any discussion from the board? Any public comment? Molly, roll call vote, please.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Motion approved. Go ahead, Director Dias.
Just a comment. It used to be like repair a flat. It used to be they charge $10. Now it's $40. What a big difference.
Director Dias.
And nothing.
Yes, thank you.
Good comments, President Lane.
Thank you, George. The next item we discussed was a purchase order with Brax Process and Pump Equipment for a spare wash water recovery pump at the Quartzville Water Treatment Plant. And I'll ask Operations Manager Bozigi to present tonight to the full board.
Okay, thank you, Director Dias. So, at the Quartzville plant, we have wash water basins. If you go to the first slide, Holly. Okay. Just to the north, those two wash water basins, when we backwash filters, all the water goes into those two basins and gets pumped back to the headworks of the plant. And the pumps, that was all put in during the 2008-2009 DBP project. The pumps that pump that water back are these very large submersible pumps. There's 4 of them, 2 per basin. And they're 33 horsepower. They're very large pumps. We go to the next slide, Holly. We've got our superintendent, Josh Ball, standing by one of those pumps. They take about almost 5.5 months, 5 to 5.5 months to get. So they're very hard to get. We do have 1 spare, and we thought, you know what, we should have 2 spares as standby because they do go out occasionally. And if we can't backwash at the Quartzville plant, we have to lower flow quite a bit. And during the summer, that would not be good. So it's good to have standby redundant equipment, which we have everywhere else. So we put out a request to 3 pump companies, Brax, Process Pump and Equipment. They are the distributor for these Sulzer pumps, PowerFlow Products, and Pump Man, or Pump Person if you prefer these days. So we did get pricing in, and as expected, if these other companies have to buy the pumps from Brax, they're not going to beat their price. So Brax Pump and Equipment did come in at $60,864.88. And if we do get approval tonight, we can place the order and have that pump here, hopefully by end of the summer. Be happy to answer any questions.
So I had a question. How long do those pumps usually last for?
Well, the original pumps that they put in were cast iron, and I think they've all gone out. We might have 1 left in the hole. The ones we're getting are stainless steel,
Okay.
so they should last quite a bit longer. And you have to remember, these pumps are pumping grit. They're pumping sand and GAC, activated carbon. So it's not fresh, clear water they're pumping. So there's some abrasives in it. But I don't know. I think, Gary, we should probably get 8 to 10 years out of a pump, I would think, hopefully, out of these new ones.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for John? Can I get a motion on 8A3?
Director Miller will move on 8A3.
Got a motion by Director Miller and a second, please.
Mr. Vice President, I'll second that motion.
Director Paris. Any discussion from the board? Any public comment? Holly, roll call vote.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane. George?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion approved.
That concludes the Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Director Dias. Okay. Water Projects Committee, Chair Audrey Miller.
Yes, we had a meeting on May 6th, and we discussed a couple lively conversations with Assistant General Manager Livesafe, and I'll turn it over to him to let everybody else know what's going on.
All right. Thank you, Director Miller. Good evening, Vice President Van Dam, members of the board. So we'll talk first about SNP Phase 2 Pipeline and Pump Station Project. We've been working on this for multiple years now, and we're finally at a point where we're ready to seek approval from the board to put this project out to bid and complete that somewhat critical link in our infrastructure. So just starting with some background, refresher on what the SNP Phase 2 project entails. So it's the construction and installation of a bidirectional 48-inch pipeline for about 6.6 miles from our existing turnout and pump station location at 80th Street West and Avenue H. And that would be sized to convey up to 45 million gallons per day from the West Side Water Bank to the Quartz Hill Water Treatment Plant service area, or alternatively could also flow backwards from the Quartz Hill Water Treatment Plant to all the way into the Roseman Water Treatment Plant service area. At 80th and H, we've got an existing pump station building. That building was constructed with provisions for 5 high lift pumps. Under the project, we would seek to install 3 of those high head pumps right now. Those pumps would have the capacity to pump 27 million gallons per day, which roughly matches our existing recovery capacity at the West Side Water Bank. Although all provisions will be made at this time for the future 2 pumps. So all of the conduits will be in place. All the electrical gear will be sized to be able to just drop in those couple of pumps as we build into the recovery capacity at the West Side Water Bank. There we go. So we've got a figure here kind of showing the existing and future SNP system. We have our West Feeder Pipeline, which brings the raw water to the West Side Water Bank from the California Aqueduct. We have the SNP Connector Pipeline, which connects to the existing SNP pipeline, so it can serve water north into the Kern County service area, or south to 80th Street West and Avenue H, where we have a turnout with Los Angeles County Waterworks, where we can deliver water to them there. And then, of course, the SNP Phase 2 pipeline completes that infrastructure gap between 80th and H and the Quartz Hill Water Treatment Plant. The planned alignment is to go south on 80th Street West to Avenue K, east on Avenue K, and then south along 70th Street West and connect into our existing system. As far as our current status, as I mentioned, the design is nearing completion. We're expected to have the ready for bid package by the end of May. CEQA is complete. Back in 2014, the agency adopted a mitigated negative declaration for this project, and all property acquisition is ready to go. We didn't need to acquire any property. All of the pipeline is within either LA County, City of Lancaster, or City of Palmdale right-of-way. And we've already been working with them on encroachment permits. We've filed those with each jurisdiction, and the approval of those is just pending their receipt of our ready for bid documents. So we are on a good path. Should we move forward with action tonight, design will be wrapped up by the end of May. Bidding then would be ready to commence in June, probably June to July for this project. And then construction could begin as early as August of 2026. We're anticipating right now about a 30-month construction schedule, mostly related to procurement of the pipeline materials for this project. One caveat to this is we are seeking a $30 million grant from the Department of Water Resources, and we are in the process of checking with them on any restrictions to either putting the project out to bid, awarding it to a contractor, or breaking ground. So some of those can be things that we need to wait for before executing the grant agreement. So we'll be sure to check that before we take any action on these items.
Yeah, Justin.
Yes, sir.
All of the funding, for this, where is it going to come from?
That is an excellent
For this
question. We've got that coming up. Just quickly, the construction cost of this project is currently estimated to be $48.1 million. The large portion of that is the pipeline, about 37.5. Pump station's estimated to be 8.2. And then ancillary services for engineering during construction and inspection. We have a plug number in here of 5%, which is roughly kind of the industry average for about 2.4. So where does that funding come from? So right now, we're projecting, we feel pretty confident in the $30 million grant that we're hopefully going to get from DWR. So that would hopefully make up the lion's share of the cost for this project. We did receive previously a Prop 1 grant from DWR for $1.1 million that we're using towards this project. And then we would anticipate that the remaining $17 million would come from AVEK's capital reserves for this.
How much again? How much was that?
17 million from capital reserves.
Yeah.
So one question that the Water Projects Committee asked about this project is, have we been planning for cash outlays for this project? The answer to that is yes. We've included SNP Phase 2 or cash funding for a portion of SNP Phase 2 in all of our rate studies and rate analysis since 2020. We've anywhere from 26 million back in 2020 up to 52 million in our 2022 study. And our current financial plan that we're working on is going to include 50 million for this project in the worst case assumption that we don't get the $30 million grant. So we can see what that does to our reserve policy.
This grant, was there one funding source? It's been a year or longer, but we had to do something for disadvantaged communities. Was this the same? Is this in effect now?
No. Matt, do you want to talk about the grant?
Yeah, so President Lane, this is Matt. So a couple years ago, DWR put out a solicitation for grant applications for what's called an in-stream flow grant program. So AVEK put in an application. So quite a bit of time went by, but we finally heard back that our project was selected for funding. So it's a project or a program that's funded through the California Natural Resources Agency. So the money is already there. It is not tied to disadvantaged communities. What the program is we have to release a certain quantity of water, state water project water. It's 4,000 acre feet over a 10-year period. But it's only in years when the allocation is at 20% or above. And we put that safeguard in there because we wanted to ensure that we had sufficient state water project supplies available to meet our customer needs. So we have plenty of safeguards in there. And the funding is already there through the resource or California Natural Resource Agency. And hopefully that answers your question.
Is that 30 million come from a bond issue or state? Where does that come from?
It's not tied to Prop 1 or any of the propositions. It's general fund money. You know, it's money that California is. Oh no, I'm sorry. I think it's tied to some of the greenhouse gas funding. But like I said, it's already there, not part of a proposition.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So that was the gist of the conversation with the Water Projects Committee. But unless there are any other questions, the Water Projects Committee and staff would recommend that the board would authorize solicitation of competitive bids for the construction of the SNP Phase 2 pipeline and pump station project. And we'll return with those bids before we award anything.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. Is there any other questions from the board?
I just had one comment. Did you talk about the 5 million that we had, the grant we had where it was going to go to SNP? We bought water with it, and now that kind of accruing interest in our water bank.
Yeah, correct. I did not mention that. We did talk about that at the committee level. As far as the grant funding, we have noted in this presentation $1 million of previously received grant money for SNP Phase 2. That number was about 6 million. But 5 million of that was set to expire at the end of the current fiscal year. And so we were in danger of losing that $5 million. And so we worked creatively with DWR to repurpose that money and create a new project, which we called pre-delivery of drought resilience water supplies. And we were able to use that $5 million towards deliveries of banked water supplies at our various banking facilities.
I see. So does that go towards the 17 million that AVEK's got to?
Well, that's $5 million that would have went here, and it turned into $5 million worth of free money that we didn't have to pay for. So yeah.
I see.
So we basically have the 5 million that we haven't received check yet, but we're going to get 5 million from the state.
Great.
That can be towards, like what you said, Director Van Dam, that 5 million can be put towards the 17 million.
Great.
Yep. And theoretically, and Teresa's the expert on this, is by time we would use that 5 million to, if we wanted to trade it out as water and put it into this project, it's going to be worth more because of the value of water has gone up each year before we put it in the project. So,
good point. Any other questions from the board? I've got a couple questions. So we go out, are we going to get 3 bids in?
We're going to advertise this as far and wide as possible in hopes that we get more than 3 bids.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll advertise this to all contractors. It'll be publicly available on our website and published through our regular online means. So, I hope we get 10 bids, honestly.
Okay. And then how much revenue will this produce back to AVEK?
So a little bit of a tough question to answer as far as that value, but we can talk in theoreticals. If any one year we had a limited water supply from the state water project, like in 2021 when we had a 5 or 0% allocation, this project would allow us to serve about 16,000 additional acre feet from our west side water bank to the Quartzo Water Treatment Plant. There's limited ability to serve 100% of what we can convey through SNP to Los Angeles County Waterworks at 80th and H. So if you take that 16,000 acre feet that we could potentially use in that dry year, times our $814 per acre foot of treated water, we're in the $13 million ballpark in one single year.
Great. Great. And then one more question. After this pipeline is complete, is there any more pipelines that need to be completed to connect everything, or are we done at that time?
Yeah, this is the final piece of our SNP system. So the only thing we'd be looking to do in the future is to add additional recovery capacity at the West Side Water Bank as that becomes needed, and then maybe equip those other 2 pumps.
Thank you, Justin.
Yep.
So do I need a motion here?
Director Miller moves.
Got a motion by Director Miller.
this is Rob. I will second that motion.
And a second by Director Perez. Any discussion from the board? Any public comment? Ollie, roll call vote, please.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane. George? Oh, you did. You dropped off the line.
Motion carried.
And we'll go ahead and continue with Assistant General Manager, let's say on the next item.
All right, thank you again. So this is related to the ongoing Quartzo Water Treatment Plant Clearwell number 1 valve replacement project that the board authorized late last year. We're coming to the board to seeking approval of a change order. But just starting with background, we've got the project was to replace 2 existing 42-inch valves, 1 influent valve to the Clearwell and 1 effluent valve to the Clearwell here at our Quartzo Water Treatment Plant. So in the aerial image, you can see our boardroom building here. And then back behind the treatment plant is the partially buried Clearwell reservoir. The red star is the effluent valve. The yellow star is the influent. So the influent valve has been replaced. That went extremely well. But you may remember Joe Roberts coming back to the board a couple of months ago with a few issues that were encountered with the replacement of the 42-inch effluent valve on this project. So we discovered a leak as they were digging down to replace the effluent valve here. You can see in the photo, this is the tank shell on the side shown here, and here's the ground surface. You see that's partially buried. The effluent pipe comes out of the bottom of the tank, and this is the valve we were intending to replace. We found a lot of water, muddy conditions down in that area, which we thought, oh no, there's leaks somewhere. So we worked with the contractor to continue to investigate, and we found that leak was coming from a coupler in the effluent piping of the tank here. So we kind of pushed pause right there. We were able to isolate that, so it's no longer leaking, but the tank currently remains offline. And we brought that information to the board, talked about moving forward with the contractor to work on a plan to fix that. At the same time, we identified an additional valve that's in this area that we weren't aware of, another 42-inch valve. And if I move the next photo here, what's going on here? There we go. So this is kind of the same picture, but now aerial. This is the leaking coupler here. The pipe goes underneath the inlet piping. This is the valve that was planned to be replaced. And just off of this T is another 42-inch valve we weren't aware of. It had been buried over the years, but it's original to the treatment plant. So additional isolation is never a bad idea. So we worked with the contractor to develop a couple of options. Obviously, the leak needs to be replaced or repaired before we bring this tank back online. So option one is repair the leak, replace the valve that was planned to be replaced, as well as the new valve that was identified, and then backfill the excavation. I've got some photos to show on the next slide, or some figures that talks about the excavation pit. That grew pretty significantly when we identified that coupler leak to what we're going to have to do. So while that hole's already a little bit bigger, we thought let's talk to them about not only replacing the leak and replacing those, or fixing the leak and replacing those two valves, but also constructing a concrete vault and avoid significant excavation expenses in the future should these two valves ever need to be replaced at that time. Obviously, option one is going to represent the lowest cost to complete the work today, but it does make future repairs more difficult and expensive. Option two would cost us a little bit more money today, but if there's an issue with either of those valves in the future, it'll pay for itself, as you can see in either the staff report in your packet or as I'll show here in the presentation. Next slide. There we go. So these figures show kind of what the original plan was versus option one. Got a similar figure for option number two. So the original plan was, this is the valve we're replacing, was to dig down fairly steep angle and install a shoring box here to get in there and replace that valve. With the leak, that excavation got a little bigger. So they've got to get all the way back now to with the tank wall. That inlet piping goes over. So now that needs to be supported in place. Previously, it was going to just be supported by the soil and shored next to. So now that's going to need to be supported either underneath or hung from something overhead. So the pit got much bigger in order to get back here and replace this coupler and stop the leak and replace the valve that we had planned on. The secondary valve is kind of, we're looking at it from the side, so it's sort of pointing at us here. But you can see the location of that here. So the coupler, the piping, the T, and that extra valve there. So that's option one. They would replace those and then they could just backfill this with the dirt. Option number two, because this pit's already going to be much bigger, it would be to install a vault. So excavation remains the same. There's a little bit more piping work that needs to be done. So the piping connected to the coupler still remains the same. They would cut out a section of pipe here and put in a little bit of a smaller T to bring the two valves a little bit closer together so that they fit nicely within the vault that we have planned. So in the future, should we need to access those valves, we would just need to dig down to the lid of the vault. You see there's a manhole that gets us up to ground level, so we could certainly get in there and repair anything that may go wrong with the gearbox or anything like that our maintenance staff could do. But in the event we need to pull either or both of the valves, we just need a shallow excavation. We pull the lid off of the vault and we're able to lower a crane down in there and get to those valves. So somebody in the future would thank us if we go with that option. But let's talk pricing. So Pyramid Building and Engineering provided us with some change order pricing. We did our own independent analysis of what the costs were prior to receiving the cost from the contractor, just to make sure we were getting a fair price. We did. They gave us a very fair price. You can see the breakdown between option 1 and option 2 in the table. Excavation costs basically are the same. The piping costs are a little bit more for option number 2 because we have to replace the entire T instead of just a section of piping connected to the coupling. And then of course there's the cost of the vault, about $366,000. So there's a difference in cost here of about $581 if we choose to go with the vault. And so the Water Projects Committee was supportive of the vault concept, but they wanted us to do some financial analysis to see if there's a payback in the long term for this. So we did that work prior to coming here to the board. And so based on our analysis, without the excavation costs, the price of replacing those the valve reduces by about 75%. So we avoid about $300,000 in excavation costs to get to those to either of those valves. In addition, we looked at rising construction costs. Over the last 5 years, we've seen construction costs increase by over 40%. COVID's probably a little bit part of that, right? We saw some high inflation, but nonetheless, construction costs will continue to increase as we move forward. The valves themselves may last a little bit longer being enclosed within a vault as opposed to being buried in the soil. And so with this, the other benefit is the valves are always covered under a manufacturer warranty, but that doesn't cover our excavation costs. So if something went wrong with the valve right after they were installed and backfilled, if we have to get back in there to fix something, even if we get a free valve out of it, we're still on the hook to pay the contractor.
Right.
So just a quick graphic of the life cycle costs. 2 valve replacements needing to excavate would pay for the vault over time. We don't know how long that would be. Typical lifespan of a vault is somewhere between 15 and 30 years. So it could be 30 years that it pays for itself, could be 60, could be sooner if something goes wrong with those valves. But with that, good questions and feedback from the Water Projects Committee. We think based on the analysis that we've done, that makes a lot of sense to move forward with the vault, even though it's a higher cost option today. And with that, happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot that we went through, but the Water Projects Committee and staff recommend we proceed with option 2 and authorize a change order for $977,890.
Any questions from the board for Justin?
No, but I'll make a comment. We did discuss this long and hard in committee, and I think Justin did a great job in presenting the overall benefit of having the vault done. So thank you for that. The other thing to consider is that is part of the road over there by the clear well, and on the other side of the clear well, we're putting up the maintenance building. So if we have to take dirt out again, that could block some of the activity going on over there. So the committee is all for moving forward with the vault concept, the option 2. And I'll move on that.
Thank you, Audrey. Well, I've got one question, maybe a couple. One is, how long does those valves last for, Justin?
So they could last anywhere from 15 to 30 years. The ones that are in there have been in their original, so 50 years. But I know we've been aware that they don't seal properly for at least the last 20 years. So 15 to 30 years, maybe 30 at the outset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or is there an option to rebuild them? No, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, these are old enough that it makes sense to replace. If we have access to them in a vault, then maybe there's certain components in the gearbox or something that we can replace while we're down there.
Okay. On that inlet pipe, does that pipe come out of the bottom of the tank or does it come out of the side of the tank?
The effluent pipe that's leaking comes out of the bottom of the tank.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the reason those valves are 24 feet deep?
Yeah, that and the fact that the clear well is buried back there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions from the board? Can I get a motion, please?
I will move.
Got a motion from Audrey.
And I will second
And a
that.
second from Director Paris. Any discussion from the board? Any public comment? Holly, roll call
I think the
vote.
committee's done a good job, but you got to remind you, you're an expensive committee. But anyway.
Thank you, President Lane. Anything else?
We do
No.
our best.
Thank you.
Okay, good job.
Every penny of it, George.
Okay.
Holly, roll call vote, please.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Good job, Justin. And I just wanted to put a shout out to Joe Roberts, our engineering manager. He did a lot of the detail engineering work on these two options.
Right. Where is Joe tonight?
So I think he's set to have a baby. So he's going through some
Okay.
baby training.
Okay.
Good job.
All right. Good job, Chair Audrey.
I don't know if I was supposed to let that out of the bag or not.
Uh-oh.
But everybody knows now.
You can blame it on me, I asked.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Number 9, General Manager Report. Matt?
Yeah, thank you, Vice President Van Dam. So I'll start with calling Tom Barnes up, our import water supply manager, and he'll give a hydrology update.
Thank you, Matt, and good evening, Vice President Van Dam and the members of the board. As Matt mentioned, I can give a hydrology update on the state water project. Generally, I like to start with the snowpack conditions in the state. This is our long-term storage of water for state water projects. So on the left top of the chart there, that is the northern region of the Feather River region. That's where we start basically with state water project supplies. You can see that our that orange line represents our current this year's snowpack levels, and this is snowpack water supply equivalent. So it's basically how it relates to our water supply. So we're at 6% of normal for this date, and then the 3% is 3% of normal or the average for April 1st, which is the snowpack peak time frame. But you can see that orange line there compared to the averages, which is in the dark gray, and then even last year, as you can see, we had last year, and normally throughout each year we get a peak, a nice peak in snowpack in April, right around April 1st. But you can see this year we really had a drop off in northern region on snowpack, and that was the same really across the board. As you go to the center, the central valley area, central region of the state, same type of thing. See a lot of drop off. Had a little bit better on snowpack overall, but still a huge drop off in due to March's dryness there we had. And then also too in the southern portion of the state, another portion where you can see it dropping off really there in that orange line. So overall in the snowpack statewide, we're at 17% of for normal for this date, excuse me, and then 10% of average, the April 1st average. So pretty grim looking on the snowpack. As compared even to last year where we had some really good, had a decent snowpack year. Okay. So as it moves into the reservoirs. Oh, there you go. State precipitation, sorry. The Northern Sierra, 8th station we look at, and the dark blue bars there are the average for our water year. And I put a line in there, just kind of show it's generally a bell curve, as you would expect to see in any given year, in California, as far as normally December, January timeframe are our highs on precipitation. Northern Sierra, you can see that you had a really good early part of the year there, but then you see a lot of up and down, a lot of variability in the months, and that was the thing that was made it very difficult. And of course, then you see even coming into March. We basically had no precipitation in Northern Sierras. And that was really the same for the San Joaquin Valley area, which is the other area we look at because that feeds into the Delta region, which then ultimately makes its way down to us. But so both Northern Sierra region, San Joaquin region is very dry in March. And then also here in May, we're not doing so great starting off, about a third of the way through the month, and we're still at very low precipitation for the estate. Okay. As far as the reservoirs, Lake Oroville storage is likely really to be at its seasonal peak. It's basically at the top. It's only 3 feet down from the top of the lake right now, so it's at 99% of capacity. So it's doing great there. And we'll probably continue that through May. They'll try to keep the level of Oroville very high, because coming in June, we're probably looking at you've heard like June gloom and things of this sort. Well, a lot of that's caused by the summer solstice comes in, a lot of high tides and weird weather comes in, but with that brings in salinity into the Delta region. And so with the high salts in the Delta, they want to hold on to some of the fresh water that they have to combat that with in Oroville. So they'll hold on as much as they can in the releases. So they'll hold them down to a minimum right now as far as releases, but then they will eventually here in June start to see more demands. And I put rising, Feather River demands and also Delta needs, which really means fish. And that's the salinity part of it. So it really will be increasing in early June. And then come July, August, we'll start to see hopefully some more deliveries down south for summertime. San Luis Reservoir, that's where we store our water basically before it makes its way down the State Water Project. And so San Luis storage is declining under reduced Delta exports. So we're not able to get a lot of Delta exports out right now because of the conditions up there for salinity. And also San Joaquin River is at its really low flows right now into the Delta region. So they've really reduced the exports out of the Delta into San Luis. So we'll see a potential return, as I mentioned, of exports in July and August. Forecast more than likely right now is at its max at the San Luis Reservoir. Current water supply for us, AVEK has a 30% allocation, about 43,000. Carryover started out about 20,000 this year, and we're down to current balance about 8,700. And we've been able to just deliver our carryover. We haven't even touched our table AVEK this year, so that's good. Bank supply, we have a good supply, about 156,000 acre feet started this year, and then current balance, we have about 158,000. So doing well there. Groundwater supply, that's local production right supply, 27,000 started the year. And we're pretty close to that still in current supply. So the total supply portfolio started the year with about 246,500, and we're currently at about 237,000 acres. So pretty good shape overall considering the condition of the state. And I believe that's the last slide. Any more questions?
All right. Thanks, Tom. Any questions for Tom?
Any questions? Yep. I had one. Is there any more snow going to come? I mean, we're pretty much
not likely. It's very. Yeah, I mentioned April 1st is generally the peak of snowpack, and that, generally after April 1st, you're not going to see it. So.
Yeah, because last year I think they were skiing in Mammoth till June or July.
Yeah, a lot of that had to do with the temperatures, because we're expecting to see a lot. We have already seen, and we're expecting to see a lot higher temperatures this year than last year too. So, so overall, not likely. It's possible. Anything's possible.
Right.
And but not likely.
Thank you, Tom.
And we're still holding out hope that we may get a small bump in allocation. We're currently at 30%, but because of the higher than average precipitation in the month of April and some of the flows, there's a chance DWR could come out with a slight bump in the allocation. So we'll see. We should get that by the end of the year or end of May.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. We actually went from below normal water supply index to above normal. So we're actually we just barely got to above normal year, even though the allocation is not representing that really. But we could, because of that, get a slight bump. But we don't expect much more than that, unless we do get the Van Dam storm comes in and we get the storm and we get a lot of snow in August.
Right. Well, thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you, Tom. And I've got one slide, just upcoming events. We have the Antelope Valley College Scholarship under the Justin Lane Memorial Scholarship. That's a meet and greet for this Friday at 9 a.m. We have the AV Boosters event that we donated for. That's coming up on Saturday of this week at 6 p.m. Antelope Valley Watermaster Advisory Committee, a week from tomorrow at 10 a.m., either on Zoom or at Quartz Hill Water District's office.
What's the date of that, Matt?
That's on the 20th,
20th.
May 20th
Thank
at
you.
10 a.m. We have an agency holiday coming up to celebrate Memorial Day on the 25th. That's a Monday. Then we have the Water Master Board meeting on the 27th of May at 10 a.m. here at AVEK or on Zoom. And then the Antelope Valley Rural Museum fundraising event where we purchased a table. So hopefully you've all reached out to Holly regarding that. That event is on Saturday, May 30th at 5 p.m. at the fairgrounds.
Great.
And that's all I have to report unless you have any questions.
Okay. Want to comment on the plaque that we got?
Oh, yeah. So we, Director Van Dam, Director Tremblay, and I think Mercy, you were there at Law Day?
No, I was out of town, didn't make it back.
Oh, okay. And then, of course, Director Paris was there. And myself, we attended the Law Day event at the Antelope Valley Fairgrounds. And we got a nice plaque for our sponsorship towards the art and speech contest. So it was a great event.
Yep. Director Paris did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
I had to leave early and was leaving when that girl was a sophomore and she was giving a speech. She wasn't reading anything. She was standing up there in front of everybody and oh my gosh, she was unbelievable. Just unbelievable. She could be president, anything. I was very.
Yeah.
Pretty inspiring, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, talented kids.
Thank you, Matt. Anything else?
Thanks for mentioning that. That's all I have to report unless you have any questions.
No questions for Matt, from me. Any questions from the board? Okay, Director.
I have a report. That's really your committee, isn't it? No, it's my committee, Personnel Committee.
Oh, your committee.
Yeah, it's my committee. Just a reminder to our dear directors on Zoom land and here, if you have not turned in your evaluation forms to Drew and myself, we have a meeting on Friday, so we really need those back by Thursday if possible. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Any directors' reports? Is there any reports from directors? Okay. Attorney's report.
No report tonight.
Thank you, Doug. Requests for future agenda items? None? Okay, is there any reason to go into closed session tonight?
Nope, not tonight.
Not tonight? Okay, and then before we adjourn, I'd just like to make one comment. We lost a good farmer in the valley. I don't know if you guys remember Jerry Sturk, Barbara Sturk and Jerry Sturk.
Yeah.
Jerry had passed away last week. So if you could pray for that family. And can I get a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Vice President, I'll move we adjourn and adjourn in memory of Jerry Sturk.
Thank you. Director Mercy, and a second?
I'll make a second.
Director Tremblay? Any discussion from the board? Any public comment? Holly, roll call vote.
Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Karas.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay.
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Drew Mercy.
Yes.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes.